You describe us, where does the story of Caramel take place?
Caramel takes place in a beauty institute in Lebanon, in a very popular neighborhood in Lebanon. It's we chose to make this film happen in this place because it's a very fascinating place. It's a place where women feel comfortable because they are between women, and they're away from men's eyes, and they just it's more easy for them to just be comfortable, to confide and to tell their secrets and their stories. And I've always found it also very fascinating, the relationship that happens between you and the woman that makes you more beautiful, because this person becomes a privileged person in your life. She becomes a sort of an advisor, because she sees you in your flaws, she sees you in your nudity, she sees you in your true self, and so there's no more obstacles, and you become very fragile, and so it's much more easy for you to just let go and tell your secrets and tell your stories. And she starts knowing so many things about your personal life, and this divan becomes a sort of a psychiatrist divan when you just talk and talk and talk. So I've found this very fascinating.
Who are the main characters in this beauty salon?
The main character who work in this beauty institute is there's Layale, the owner of the shop. I played the role of Layale. She's a Christian living. She's a very independent Christian woman who has this. Who's the owner of this beauty institute, but at the same time, she still lives with her parents. And so this woman is torn between the relationship that she's having with a married man and the education she's had and all the values and everything she's brought up on. So she's confused. She doesn't know what to do. She wants to take the right decision. She's torn between right and wrong, between tradition and so she's a little bit lost in the film. There's the Nisrine. She's the friend of Layale also, and also works in this beauty institute. She's a Muslim, and she's about to get married, but unfortunately, she's scared that her fiancé doesn't know that she's not a virgin anymore. So she has a big issue with this problem, and she doesn't know what to do. So in the film, you're gonna see what's gonna happen. And there's also Rima. Rima is also works in this beauty institute. She's a sort of not in the film. She doesn't talk much. She doesn't say much. She's very closed. She's not very comfortable with her body. She's very confused about her sexual identity, and we understand that she has a tendency to like other women, but she doesn't. In the film, nobody talks about it. Nobody says anything, and she doesn't live it very comfortably. And in the film, she falls in love with one of the clients. Female clients of the salon. And who else? Rose is a 65 years old woman, and she falls in love at an older stage in life, but she doesn't go on with this relationship because she thinks that it's not of her age. So it's a very touching story about falling in love at an old age and the difficulties that you can have.
Are these main problems of women in Lebanon?
I think the film, it's the problems that we're facing are problems that we are facing as Arab women living in the Middle East. It's specifically it's more general in the sense that the way these women deal with these problems are universal. There are small details that every woman anywhere in the world can relate to. But the problems are specifically I think Lebanese, in the sense that, you know, this relationship with your body, the virginity, sex, these taboos we're facing, these issues might seem for other countries or other Western countries a little bit ridiculous, or things that you don't even think about, that we still do think about them in Lebanon. But it's more universal, I think, in the way we react and act in certain situations. You know, human nature is the same, and it's, you know, beyond language and culture.
You played the leading role and you directed the movie. You had more problems with this decision, or was it a good decision to do both?
No, it was a very not easy, very hard decision to take, because at the same time I wanted to act in this film. I wanted to be this woman, but I was scared because it's my first film. I didn't want to harm the film. I didn't want to. I knew it was a lot to carry. It was a huge weight, and so I was very hesitant. But when I started working with the other actors, and because they're not professional and this is the first time they act, I noticed that when I was with them in the scene as Layale, it created a very strong bonding between us, and we just became friends, and it allowed me to be closer to them, to know them much more deeply, to learn the keys to everyone, to know how to communicate with them. And they were much more comfortable with me being, you know, with them in the film. So that's what really made me take that decision, and I just, you know, jumped into the adventure, and whatever happens. And I took it very simply. I didn't want to complicate things in my head, otherwise I wouldn't have done it.
You also wrote the script, but you had co-authors. Why?
I wrote the film with two other male writers, because simply they're people who understand me. We're on the same wavelength, and we used to just sit down and talk, and things would come out. And they're just people who are very sensitive to women. They understand what these characters were going through. So it's simply because I just get along with these people.
Can you explain the huge success of the film in Lebanon?
You never know what the recipe is. It's not a recipe. I think it's a mixture of so many things. And one of the things maybe is because I've not used professional actors, people relate very easily to these characters because they are normal. They're just very accessible people, normal people. People identified, the audience identified very, very easily with these characters. They feel like they're one of them. So I think this was very important also in the film, and the fact that in Lebanon specifically, you know, because we're going through very tough times now in Lebanon, and there's a lot of political tension, people are proud of this film. People just feel like it's their film, their piece of their country, or their who they are, going out to the world, because the film is sold in over 50 countries. So, and this is something that is very unusual for a Lebanese film. So people they feel proud of it. It's and especially now, it's their way of maybe expressing themselves and who they are.
Is it a universal theme, the movie?
Now I'm discovering that it is universal more and more, because every time we go to a different country, I like to say in the screening to see how people react, and if they react differently from a country to another. And I've noticed, and I'm surprised at how it's always the same reactions at the same places. They laugh at the same intensity. Most of the reactions after the film are the same when people come to me and talk to me about the film. So I'm noticing now, and I'm discovering that maybe what I'm talking about is specifically from my part of the world, but there's something universal about it also. There's something, it's human nature, I think, and it goes deeply sometimes into things that are talk about us as humans, how we react, how we act, how we face certain problems, and the way we face and react to certain problems. And it's beyond language, it's beyond culture. It's something that we have secret codes that we feel as human beings without even needing to talk about them.
Is the final version of this movie your version, or is there a censorship in Lebanon?
No, there was no censorship at all, and we're always very surprised that it wasn't censored anywhere in the world. And because there's no, even though we're talking about delicate subjects, very specific subjects, and that are sometimes not easy to talk about them, I think the way it's said in a very soft way. It's not shocking. It's not. I don't think you can get anywhere by shocking people. I don't think that it's a bad way to communicate, because it creates a wall between yourself and the people, and it creates, not dilemmas, the confrontation that does not lead anywhere. For me, it was important to communicate, to say things the way they are, and it's up to you to make your own decision. I never said in the film this is right or wrong, or this is what you should do or not do. I didn't give any lesson to anyone, so it was accepted, even though it was very, very, sometimes a little bit controversial as subjects. It was accepted, and I think also with humor you can get away with anything, and there's a lot of humor in the film.